really wanted to talk about the billions of dollars that Americans pay to all the foreign countries, to all the foreign wars, and how Americans continue to get gaslit when we're talking about our tax dollars and the reason why we pay all these taxes to the foreign budget, to foreign wars, for foreign aid. Because usually the public hears a starving family in Sudan is about to eat, or they can't eat because of the lack of programs that they have in their country. But what actually happens is closer to in some regards a purchase order that just landed on an American desk, because a lot of U.S. foreign assistance doesn't travel like cash in a suitcase. It travels like a pipeline, because Congress appropriates and then it goes to agencies. Agencies have obligations, and it goes to contractors and vendors, and then they execute the logistics and ship and move of the products, and then a foreign community sees the results. So the money changes all of these different hands. And the one thing that, especially because of the high rate of unemployment, the high rate of gas and groceries, even though supposedly the economy is in great shape, as we look at the foreignassistance.gov here, all right, and the billions of dollars that we give to a lot of these countries, right, whether it be the continent of Africa, South America, Australia, Europe, India, Canada, so on and so forth, right, south of the border, etc. And I look at how, they have the color matrix here to show you what bit of money goes to each country. And you just see blue, economic and military. That's what you guys see here. And then they have other colors to depict whether it's going to East Asia and Oceania, Europe and Eurasia, Middle East, so on and so forth. You get my drift. But as we look at it, billions of dollars are not just going to African countries that people state needed the most, but it goes to European countries as well. It goes to Israel as well. I know that's a hot topic right now, but we have to throw that in as well. Right, one of the first countries on this list right here is Israel. Right, with that $6.8 billion, Ukraine, roughly $4 billion. And these are for specific reasons. These are for specific reasons. And we're going to kind of get a little granular here. We're going to kind of erase some of the layers that they put on top to disguise what's really going on, because even the Congressional Research Service spells it out bluntly. Some foreign assistance dollars never leave the United States. They go to the U.S. businesses, whether it be, the farmers, defense contractors, consultants. They provide goods and services for the end benefit of a foreign population. So if you see 50 billion, 20 billion going to Ukraine, is Ukraine actually getting that money, or is it flowing back into the American businessmen? So if you ever wonder why people argue about foreign aid like it's a charity, it's because they're debating the morality of a system that often operates like a domestic economic program that's wearing some sort of international costume. This connects to immigration, by the way, because when the help, so to speak, is structured to benefit the donor first, it's very good at treating symptoms while failing to fix the forces that drive people to move. Because if we were to name the two biggest money rivers tied to migration, immigration, and survival, number one would be remittances. Because when immigrants work here and send money back home, that's not theory. That is one of the largest financial flows of earth, right? Global remittances are estimated around $900 billion, either like right here in 2024, no less. Again, America tells on itself, because you have all these government agencies, okay? You have all these government agencies that kind of spill the guts on other government agencies, quite frankly, hand over fist. And we're looking at the fiscal year 2024, okay? The most recent is 2025. We're going to dive into the details here, because those remittances to low and middle income countries are projected around $685-700 billion, especially in 2024. That's bigger than officially development assistance. And then number two, foreign aid, because foreign aid is much smaller by comparison. One U.S. budget breakdown cities that is equivalent to around 70 billion in foreign aid obligations. That was back in 22, I believe, and 1% of federal spending. But here's the thing I want you guys to gravitate to the most. Immigrants sending money home is a bigger development program than foreign aid. And nobody debates the remittances the way that they debate the aid. And even though remittances are the thing that most directly that are keeping families afloat. That's important for immigration policy because it tells you what migrants already know. People don't move unless the unless the economics of the math moves. See, when we look in a lot of these statistics here, I want to show you what I have here. I'm going to just apply a filter, and I'm going to look up Israel very quickly here. I'm going to look up Israel, and we're going to kind of dive into the details of how much money that they're going to report that Israel receives. Now, up here, you see they kind of did a tally of 6.8 billion. See, countries is one because we're talking about Israel, 990 activities, okay? And all of this is going to have all the government agencies of all the money that they fork out to Israel and for the different sorts of reasons. Even though Jewish Americans are one of the richest groups in America, but let alone this money is going to Israel. Now, if you look at the managing agencies, Department of State, Department of Defense, U.S. agencies for international development, what else we have here? Let's see if any other, but most of it, as you can tell, is the Department of Defense. And we're talking about tens of thousands, millions and billions of dollars, right? We see right here, 6.8 billion. The DoD Foreign Military Financial Program. We have what, 3 million here, 2 million there, 761,000 there, and the list continues on and on and on. It goes all the way down. I put 100 per page here, but ladies and gentlemen, it's 992 pages of support for Israel. Okay, as it stated at the top, 990 activities. They will have you to believe that, you know, the headlines will show. Let me give you a headline very quickly because they love to do pictures to show what demographic of people are receiving the most aid. This is the usual that America really shows, that is going to a lot of, poor African countries, and how a lot of, Africans want to come over here for work. But at the same token, they don't show you how they destabilize these countries and then fork out aid that necessarily don't go to these countries, only a fraction of them, because that money is then being funneled back in to American pockets. It's one of the largest scams that Americans run on ourselves. And here's the thing, the American taxpayer, mostly the middle class, we are footing the bill. We are footing the bill. Among those potential migrants, about 18% named the U.S. as their desired destination, roughly 160 to 170 million adults, depending on the year estimates. So when America talks about immigration like it's a border problem, that's adorable, because it's not a border problem. It's a global pressure system like weather. Let me provide even more context to you guys. Let me guys show you this very quick clip.
Seeing those photos?
Yeah, I remember.
So the problem is when people see this happened in the Biden administration. This is one of the things that tanked Biden presidency. People see that and they're like, oh, damn, man, we can't have that. Those 7,000 people, who are they?
They're mostly Venezuelan migrants who left their country because, as the Biden administration wanted to do, strangle their economy to make them suffer so that the Venezuelan government would change or do policy that was more beneficial for the United States than for Venezuela.
So now at the border of the U.S., what do you do with them?
I mean, you started from square one where you already messed up. You made this happen.
You want to know why so many of them are there?
Asylum.
No, because there were other caravans before them. And the other caravans, Biden had a policy that said, hey, we got to let these people apply to be refugees. I'm sure if we created a system of free market capitalism, these people wouldn't be walking across Mexico to come to the U.S.
If you don't think about it and you only see the border, or you only see new immigrants in your community, you wouldn't understand what the root causes are at all. And you would just say, oh, a bunch of people just showed up.
If you don't see what the root causes are, you can't fix the problem. That's part of the issue. Let's say we sent $50 million to Sudan to combat famine. Where's the $50 million go? Let me just point out why this is important. You hear about us giving foreign aid away, giving money to other countries. We're always giving money to other countries and we should spend it at home. Why are we giving money to those people? We should spend it here. We have problems here. We have to fix our bridges. We have people who are hungry here, man. And why are we
Now, this is one thing I wanted to point out. I think this is a lecture at a college, no less. But did you see this gentleman here? He is knocked out, and this guy is only like 5 to 10 feet away from him. I just wanted to point that out. Okay, I just wanted to point that out.
here? We have problems here. We have to fix our bridges. We have people who are hungry here, man. Why are we sending money somewhere else? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Spend it here. So, bro, where's the money go?
The 50 million turns into material goods that we give as aid, which undercut the domestic economies of those countries. And so they become dependent on us because they can buy those goods that we deliver at a market for a cheaper price than they would the goods that are
Okay, but hang on. How about just grain? We spent $50 million to send grain. Where does the $50 million go?
It goes to American farmers and American businesses to make the grain.
Okay.
And then on an American ship to go to a American logistics company and just stimulates an entire economy to deliver the grain.
And then at some point in time, the Sudanese get the grain. And then it gets transported by Sudanese companies. But $50 million, when a good 45 million of it is going to get spent right here. Right? When you think about that, that's kind of a significant shift.
Kind of makes it seem like foreign aid helps the United States more than it helps the other countries.
Yeah. We just gave $500 million of aid to Israel or military aid to Pakistan. Taxpayers pay for it all, but taxpayers pay other American companies, other American citizens. The money's going back into the pockets of people here. That's really, really important. It's just not something that we think about.
And some of you may think that, oh, that benefits Americans. Well, is this money being taxed? Was it taxed on the way out to these foreign countries? Was it taxed coming back into American contractors and businesses' pockets? Absolutely not. So a lot of this is global fraud, in my opinion, when you kind of dive into the tapes. Now, let me show you another clip. I want to give credit to our brother Philip Scott on this. He garnered a clip of how America destabilizes other countries for the benefit of America, but it mostly benefits businesses. Okay. So again, I want to give credit to Philip Scott and his platform, but I do want to show this clip that was on that he put on his platform as well. Listen in.
Don't tell your leaders what they're doing to our country.
We do.
You understand what they're doing to our country because they destabilize our countries for us to be migrant here.
Thank you.
And it's a politically set up.
Yeah,
You understand?
Now, listen, if you study anything with geopolitics, you know exactly what that man's saying is true. See, what happens, a lot of American citizens get pissed off about immigration, but you really don't see what our government be doing in these people's country. Our military is doing in these people's country. They go out there, they destabilize their countries. They install leaders they want. They remove leaders that was democratically elected. Or if they are a religious-based country, then, hey, that's the cleric or whatever the case may be. They go and mess up people's country, and then they all come immigrate over here. Then American citizens like, why we got so many immigrants over here? Say, well, like the man said.
And by the way, that pertains to a lot of European countries, because a lot of European countries destabilize a lot of these African and Caribbean countries because of the extrapolation of their resources and left their countries in shambles. They only help them build an infrastructure so they can extrapolate the resources, right? And a lot of these resources are stolen. They didn't pay the country because they were colonized. They control the country. They control every aspect of these countries. So again, immigration, mass immigration, illegal immigration, we have to really look at the history of those countries, do we not? Because when you look at India, there's a lot of Indian Americans. There are a lot of people from India migrating and immigrating to America, as well as the UK and Europe and Africa and the Caribbean. There's Indian people from the country of East India, okay, that's right beside China, with 1 billion some people. They're all over the world. Why is their country so unstable in referencing their economy? Well, if you look at their colonial history, they were colonized by the British for roughly 90 to 100 years. So again, we have to know a bit of history, because on the surface, we can get angry, we can get all charged up, we can get mad, but we have to understand what colonization has done to these non-white countries. See, you can build a stronger umbrella, sure, but if you don't understand the storm, you'll keep pretending rain is personal. And that's why foreign aid matters if it really goes to the people who need it the most. It's one of the levers that government uses to manage instability. Sometimes it's to reduce migration, right? The amount of migration and immigration pressure that sometimes, in other accordance, it by influence, sometimes to keep allies standing. But in my opinion, here's a part that I think a lot of people really miss. How we deliver aid determines whether it stabilizes communities or stabilizes contractors, right? The clip that I was just referencing, how the money is then funneled back into America. Because if we walk the pipeline like we're doing a bank fraud documentary, except this one is legal, if we look at the different, steps that one can go through, let me see here. If Congress, appropriates money, if Congress appropriates money, let's say 66 billion for foreign assistance that actually happened back in 2023, this become obligations through agencies like, state USAID and others like USAID, that's tracked on government portals like the four systems of government that I just showed you guys when we first started, of all the different countries that we actually fork out aid to. So is this a problem that Western countries created for themselves? And the answer is yes, right? But who benefits the most and who it affects the most negatively? Well, when you're at the low part of the totem pole on the economic level, as Black Americans are, we're affected the most. Because we see the mass amount of immigration that the Democrats have allowed inside of this country. And we also see the amount of businesses that are employ illegal immigrants that are mostly Republican. That's why I keep stating over and over again that we live in a one-party system, and the people, we're just the ball. And here's another thing. Even though that Black unemployment right now is teetering at 7.7%, white unemployment is at 3.7%. I think Hispanic unemployment is at 4.3%. I can be off points here or there, but all Americans is suffering at a potential rate. More so Black Americans are than any other group, but nevertheless, it's affecting Americans as a whole. And the only people that Americans in general should be blaming is the American government. But what the American government does, they have us to point the finger at either a certain religion, a certain racial demographic, or a certain political side. Well, let me get back on my train of thought, because I can go off on that for quite some time. Step 2 is that agencies spend through implementing partners, and the United States aid typically spends through implementing partners, right? Because private contractors, nonprofits, foreign governments, public international organizations, and other U.S. agencies. Because the U.S. government often doesn't hand money to a country. It funds projects that's executed by organization. We're thinking that, when you're giving 50 billion to Somalia, you're giving 50 billion to Nigeria, you're giving 50 billion to Guyana, whatever the country may be. You're thinking they're giving it to their government. No, they're giving it to programs. Those programs giving it to American or American affiliated organizations. And then that money is then funneled back into American businesses and contractors and consultants. Because the big slice is not directed to locals. United States aid, if you look at fiscal year 2024, the localization progress report says that U.S. aid sent $2.1 billion directly to local partners, and that 12% of his acquisition assistance, that's kind of like government to government funding base. And if we look at the numbers, because these numbers, I know they're arbitrary and most for some people, but they do not lie. Let's look at 2025. Okay, let's look at 2025. 34 billion. Now, there was a great reduction in foreign assistance because of President Trump, but nevertheless, you have 6.5K activities and you have 199 country regions. So let's go back. Let's go back a year. Let's see the differences. Okay. Over here was country 199, and it was what, 6.5. It was greatly reduced. Okay. And that money was directly for 2 to 3 countries mostly. Israel, Ukraine, and South Africa. But South Africa, for those Afrikaners that came over here as refugees. So that's a big part that people are not really talking about, okay? So as we look at all the money that's being forked out to all these foreign nations, because again, here's a picture that America loves to show. They love to show black faces. But if they stating that they're giving, again, 50 billion, these countries are only really receiving around 5 billion. And I know they shouldn't be receiving nothing to the American taxpayer, right? Because what is it doing for us when America has all of these people that are either homeless, unemployed, on government assistance, where we can be training the new generation for AI engineers? We're not doing that, because that doesn't feed back into the American government, contractors, businessmen, and politicians. Why in the hell will we empower Americans? We can just hire illegal immigrants. We can hire people on H-1B visa and do these particular jobs at a fraction of the price. Why do you think that the American educational, the programs, why the American education system has not changed? Why do you think the dismantling of the Department of Education? Because some of you are like, well, the Department of Education wasn't doing anything. It was an oversight committee. That's what it was doing, anything. And it was providing aid, okay, to certain demographics of people going to college, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But it really was an oversight committee of the education programs in America. Was it beneficial? That's the big question. Was it beneficial? Maybe. Because my thing is, the Department of Education should have came out with curriculum that is going to prepare the next generation for the next generational jobs. We saw AI coming. We saw that we would need more people in computer literacy, computer technology, IT, coding. We saw this 20 years ago. We already knew where the industry was going. That's when I tell people, especially in the Black community, when I tell people, I'm like, listen, I don't care what my son wants to do. He's going to be into engineering, whether it be mechanical engineering, computer engineering, AI engineering. He's going to do something where he's using his brain, his intelligence, as well as along with his hands. And if he's not going to do that, doctor, a lawyer, he's going to be a construction worker. He's going to be an electrician, a plumber, because these trades, AI is not into the trades. There's no AI agent that's going through your computer system and now fixing your plumbing. We're not there yet. We need to be electricity. So we need to be putting our youth, we need to be putting our people, the American people, especially Black Americans, we need to be putting our people into industries that are going to be here the next 10, 20, and 30 years. And let me tell you what's not going to be here. Psychology. Nope. We don't need no more Black therapists. I know some people are going to leave some nasty grams in the comments. No. We don't need no more Black social workers. We don't need no more. When you go to a lot of these HBCUs, a lot of their programs are like administrative and social. Listen, here's the thing. I have an MBA. We don't need no more Black people with MBAs. We don't. We don't. AI. Listen. You got Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, Anthropic. Well, Anthropic makes Claude. Chat GPT, Manus. I mean, what's another one? There are so many AI agents. You got Deep Think that China made. There's so many AI agents that can do all the administrative work that you and I, with these, glorious degrees that used to be an MBA, we used to, MBA. It means nothing no more. It's administrative work, right? All the secretary work AI can do. Don't even do it. When you guys go out and you reinvent yourself for the new opportunities that are coming, make sure that it's AI based. Make sure it's coding based of AI, because that's where we're going. You have to prepare ourselves for the future. Stop being afraid to push yourself, because again, we're going to be left homeless under the bridge. That's what's going to actually happen. I want to be real with you guys. I don't want to speak into conjecture, because that's where we're going. When I look at all of the information out here, there's nothing that said that having a social social worker or administrative degree. I wouldn't even get into HR. I don't want no certification. I don't want no bachelor's or master's in HR. They're going to have AI doing that too. AI is going to be running almost anything administratively that is computer based. Okay, because there's programs like there's a large program that came out from some Europeans. I don't know if they were Danish or Swedish. Salonis. I want you guys to look up Salonis. So Salonis will have a business to upload their workflows, upload their processes, and then autonomously, kind of like a UiPath. You guys can look up UiPath as well. But they will have AI that's built into Salonis to analyze these workflows and processes and then do a root cause analysis, okay? Tell them the reason why their workflows and their processes are not running efficient, then reconfigure these processes, and then run them for the business autonomously, all in one program. All in one program. Do you hit a button and say, do you want to update your new processes to potentially raise your revenue by 10 times the amount? Yes. All autonomous. You don't need no HR. You don't need no accountants. So a lot of the jobs that we want to get in, I want to be an accountant. I want to do HR. And they're going away. They're going away. I just want to keep you guys abreast of the current economy that we live in. Because for some strange reason, we have all this money. Let me show you here. We have all this money that we give out to foreign aid. Now, this is back in fiscal year 2022. But nevertheless, this was kind of the climax or the middle part of the Ukraine war with, Russia. Well, this is probably kind of the beginning where we were giving out billions of dollars to Ukraine. You see right here, 12.4 billion. And then right after that is Israel, then Ethiopia, Afghanistan, and so on and so forth. Okay. This is just a sample size of the amount of money that we've been forking out for quite some time here, ladies and gentlemen. We've been forking out billions of dollars of foreign aid, and then that is then funneled back into America. I just want to be very transparent about that. There's so many elaborate scams that occur with our tax dollars because we sent 50 million, right? It's not 50 million sliding across a table in Sudan. It's 50 million moving through a procurement machine. And here's the uncomfortable add-on that the market effects actually have, because the GAO, I think I had a website up here regarding the GAO, but the GAO warns in kind that food aid can distort local markets and displace trade if it's not monitored properly. Now, when the Republicans come into office, they always try to downsize the government. Why? Oh, well, the Republicans, they're about fair trade and low taxes because they're encouraging Americans to start businesses. Have you guys ever thought that the one thing that these political parties do, especially the Republicans when they come into office, that they eradicate oversight? They eradicate oversight. I know when it comes to government, it don't matter what level, local, state, or federal government that we're talking about. There's all this bureaucracy and red tape. Okay, there's all this bureaucracy and red tape, and I agree, a lot of it is not needed. But we always need bipartisanship oversight. Okay, we always need bipartisanship oversight because there's so much fraud, waste, and abuse in the American government. And when people are referencing fraud, waste, and abuse, they're talking about the American taxpayer dollar. We really don't know how much we pay in taxes year in and year out. And as it pertains to immigration, what matters for immigration, because local markets, they collapse, and it doesn't just create hardship over time. It can create out the migration pressure. So if your help is structured in a way that accidentally weakens local producers, like to your local markets, you can end up with a loop or maybe even some short-term relief in some regards. And this is why the public, in my opinion, we get very cynical regarding this, because to the average American, foreign aid sounds like money leaves us every single time. And look at the amount of money just in foreign aid, whether it be for foreign wars, for people starving overseas. And again, depending on what political party you associate yourself with, you Democrats, oh, these countries really need this help. They really need to stabilize their economies. But why is it? I want you guys to really think about this. I thought about this a lot, unfortunately. If we're sending billions of dollars to all these countries every single year, when does it stop? When does their infrastructure get built up? The massive amount of billions of dollars that we send to all of these countries, and let me show you this again. Okay, this is 2025. It's not as much as it once was. Okay, where is my graphic here? I want to give me 1 second here as I find that graphic for you guys. This is billions of dollars everywhere we go. Okay, there's billions of dollars everywhere we go. But I had a breakdown. Here we go. Let's take, for instance, now this is fiscal year 2022. But as you can tell at the bottom here, that we have sent 1.4 to Afghanistan, 1.4 to Yemen. Wait a minute, why are we sending money to Afghanistan again? Is that fueling terrorism? I digress. Don't disregard what I just stated. Jordan, 1.2 million. Nigeria, 1.2 million. Somali, 1.1 billion, and South Sudan, 1.1 billion. So we're sending all this money of foreign aid to all of this country. What is the money actually doing? 3.3 billion to Israel, 12.4 billion to Ukraine. Now we understand that they're going to a conflict, they're going through war. We can associate majority of that money is going to munitions, security, tanks, weaponry, ammunition, etc. Okay, but again, if we're sending billions of dollars to all these countries, to all over the world, when is America going to see a return of investment of billions of dollars that we sent to other countries that we had no say-so in? Now, granted, even though once you vote someone into office, they are your representative and you have no power or influence, right? You can lobby, you can cry, you can go to town hall meetings, but they don't have to do nothing you say. You just don't vote them back in office. But nevertheless, when are we going to see where if you really want to be involved like they are, right? We send troops everywhere around the world because the country is unstabilized and there's a civil unrest and there is genocide. So we send troops and we send money and we send aid. But every year we see the same countries over and over again receiving billions and billions of taxpayer dollars right here in America. When are the American people going to look at this like, wait a minute? So over the past 20 years, we've sent $50 billion to all these countries. $50 billion? $50 billion. And their countries still look the same. Their infrastructures are still torn apart, right? They have unstable electricity. I've been in some African countries. I've been in some Asian countries. They have rolling blackouts. I didn't even hear of the term rolling blackouts until I went overseas, right? Because now, granted, back in 2021, there was a snowstorm in Texas. I think that is the first time. Let me digress. That was the first time I heard rolling blackouts. But that was like the first time where the power will come on, the power will go off. The power will come on, but it only happened for around 3 days. My entire time, I've been to countries like Ghana, South Africa, and Kenya. Now, Kenya, not so much. Their electrical grid is a little more stable. But when I was in South Africa and Ghana, you either be on the internet and power goes out. You're like, hey, was it a storm? And it's perfect weather. It's 85, 95 degrees outside. No, we have rolling blackouts. Why do you have rolling blackouts? Oh, maybe because we're trying to conserve energy. Why are we trying to conserve energy? Because we don't produce our own energy. We actually buy energy from this country. Ladies and gentlemen, traveling the world, I found out so many things that I'll be trying to tell you guys, because at the end of the day, we either believe that America is footing the bill or not. The only thing I know is that America has become so damn expensive. We're talking about people used to travel and move to Texas because it was cheap. Texas is no longer cheap. I'm waiting for states like Alabama and Missouri and Oklahoma to become expensive. Okay, that's when it's really gonna get bad. West Virginia, places where people don't really go. And when I mean people, I mean like all groups of people, all groups of Americans. Because when you go to your South and your North Dakotas, it's mostly just white people. Montana, mostly white people. Utah, they got a good mix, but it's mostly white people. So when you look at certain states, especially in the upper Middle West, okay, the upper Midwest, it's mostly white people. But when those states start getting other demographic people in large numbers, you know that these popular southern states, Georgia, Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, yeah, it's going to get bad real quick here, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, because I'm not the doom and gloom guy. I want America to succeed. I want America to be profitable. But we have to expose the government on every account. And the reason why I say this is because when the new term elections come up, we're going to be asking different sorts of questions about politicians, are we not? Because the amount of information that we know that all this money being forked out, how are you going to invest in America? How are you going to invest in Americans? How are you going to prepare us for the next 10, 20, and 30 years? That's what I really want to know. Because if 900 million adults want to move, okay, the question becomes, where does the pressure go? And if the U.S. is the desired destination for roughly 200 million potential immigrants, that's not because every one of them loves our politics. A lot of people would love to stay in their country, but they come to America, as they would state, as economic opportunists. They don't state that, I state that. Or I call them economic migrants or economic immigrants, so to speak. And that is one of this is the thing I want you guys to connect the dots here. A lot of European countries destabilize these countries in various ways. We don't need to really get into that. We kind of know already. But then we send billions of dollars of aid to those countries, do we not? But come to find out, billions of dollars of that aid, they only get a fraction of that amount. Let me guys show you this clip once more so you can totally understand the concept in which I'm referring to here, okay?
Remember.
So the problem is when people see this happened in the Biden administration. This is one of the things that tanked Biden presidency. People see that and they're like, oh, damn, man, we can't have that. Those 7,000 people, who are they?
They're mostly Venezuelan migrants who left their country because, as the Biden administration wanted to do, strangle their economy to make them suffer so that the Venezuelan government would change or do policy that was more beneficial for the United States than for Venezuela.
So now at the border of the U.S., what do you do with them?
I mean, you started from square one where you already messed up. You made this happen.
You want to know why so many of them are there?
Asylum.
No, because there were other caravans before them. And the other caravans, Biden had a policy that said, hey, we got to let these people apply to be refugees. I'm sure if we created a system of free market capitalism, these people wouldn't be walking across Mexico to come to the U.S.
If you don't think about it and you only see the border or you only see new immigrants in your community, you wouldn't understand what the root causes are at all. And you would just say, oh, a bunch of people just showed up.
If you don't see what the root causes are, you can't fix the problem. That's part of the issue. Let's say we sent $50 million to Sudan to combat famine. Where's the $50 million go? Let me just point out why this is important. You hear about us giving foreign aid away, giving money to other countries. We're always giving money to other countries, and we should spend it at home. Why are we giving money to those people? We should spend it here. We have problems here. We have to fix our bridges. We have people who are hungry here. Man, why are we sending money somewhere else? Why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? Spend it here. So, bro, where's the money go?
The 50 million turns into material goods that we give as aid, which undercut the domestic economies of those countries. And so they become dependent on us because they can buy those goods that we deliver at a market for a cheaper price than they would the goods that are
okay, but hang on. How about just grain? We spent $50 million to send grain. Where does the $50 million go?
It goes to American farmers and American businesses to make the grain.
Okay.
And then on an American ship to go to a American logistics company and just stimulates an entire economy to deliver the grain.
And then at some point in time, the Sudanese get the grain and then it gets transported by Sudanese companies. But $50 million when a good 45 million of it is going to get spent right here. Right? When you think about that, that's kind of a significant shift.
Kind of makes it seem like foreign aid helps the United States more than it helps the other countries.
Yeah. We just gave $500 million of aid to Israel or military aid to Pakistan. Taxpayers pay for it all, but taxpayers pay other American companies, other American citizens. The money's going back into the pockets of people here. That's really, really important. It's just not something that we think about.
Absolutely. And I'm reading your guys' comments. Don says, thank you. Blacklogic, my 10-year-old granddaughter is learning a lot from you. And at 69, I'm learning a lot as well. I thank you for that. I appreciate that. See 589, foreign aid is money laundering. Absolutely. And I'm gonna leave you guys with this. Foreign aid is not a single thing, it's a system. And systems have all sorts of incentives, right? They have all sorts of incentives. Now, if your incentive structure kind of like, rewards, whether it be U.S. procurement, U.S. shipping, U.S. contracting, then we shouldn't act surprised when the aid conversation turns into a domestic business conversation, because that's what it truly is. And if you really want to talk immigration like rational adults, you don't just debate who crosses the border. You debate the global math that makes millions of people look at their home economy and say, I can't survive here anymore, but I can survive there, as a lot of people who immigrate to America do. And with that said, family, I really want you guys to drop your thoughts in the comments about this. Do you want aid redesigned to stabilize communities, or are you fine with it, staying at a boomerang that mostly stabilizes the pipeline? Because again, a lot of these European countries, a lot of them disabled, distabled a lot of these non-European countries. And now that we have millions of illegal immigrants in America, a lot of illegal immigrants in Europe, and a lot of these other Western countries, and we're crying foul because even I don't want illegal immigration. But what's truly the cause? And over the past 20 years, the billions of dollars that we've sent out to all these other countries to somehow help them to stabilize their economies and feed their people. The only question is, when does that aid stop?